pounced again, jaws wide, inner mouth launching like a piston, but the facehugger was gone. It had vanished into a crack in the wall. The Praetorian growled low. It wasn't used to being toyed with, but this creature was unlike anything it had fought before. It was not prey. It was predator. For hours, the two hunted each other. The complex became a labyrinth of shadows and death. Old security bots reactivated, only to be torn apart in the crossfire. Acid ate through steel. Fire burst from ruptured pipelines. Alarms screamed into the void. But neither creature tired. Neither relented. Eventually, they met again in the central chamber, beneath the hive throne. Once, a queen had ruled from that spot, laying eggs and guiding her children through phenomenal command. But she had died in the purge. Now her throne was dust. The facehugger leapt from above, landing directly on the Praetorian's head, digging its digits into eye sockets, crushing its sensory plates. The Praetorian roared, flailing, smashing its skull against the wall. The facehugger tightened its grip, injecting a paralytic toxin through its claws. The xenomorph staggered, but it did not fall. With a final surge of strength, it impaled itself against a jagged metal spike on the wall, killing the facehugger clinging to it. The small creature twitched once and went limp, impaled. Acid blood dripped, sizzling, but the Praetorian remained upright, barely alive, but victorious. It slumped to its knees, breathing ragged. Then, a sound echoed soft, wet, a squelch, a crawl. The facehugger's corpse was splitting open. From within, a new form was rising. It was smaller than a xenomorph, yet larger than a typical chestburster. It had no infantile cries, only silence. Its skin was darker than pitch, but bore ridges similar to the Praetorian. Yet its limbs were thinner, more dexterous, like the facehugger's own. A hybrid, the aberration had succeeded. It had not needed to implant. It had absorbed the Praetorian's tissue directly, merging in real time. This new being looked at the dying xenomorph and learned. It watched. It mimicked. The Praetorian snarled weakly, trying to stand. But the hybrid was already on it. With blinding speed, it wrapped its limbs around the larger creature's body and drove a tail through its chest. No honor. No farewell. The old life was over. The hybrid stood alone now, breathing deeply for the first time. It turned its head upward toward the ruined ceiling, where stars blinked down through a crack. Freedom was close. A new hunt was beginning. Back on orbit, the research vessel Hermes drifted silently. The crew had picked up the old signal from LV-498 just hours ago. It was supposed to be a ghost signal, a glitch, but now it pulsed in rapid frequency. Captain Elise Travers peered at the scanner with a furrowed brow. We're picking up movement below the surface. Something's alive down there. Can't be. The colony's been dead for 40 years. Then explain the heat signatures, she said, pointing. Something just broke the surface. Down on the planet, from the dirt and rubble, the hybrid crawled forth. Claws extended, head tilted to the stars. This long tail dragged behind, twitching. It wasn't just alive. It was awake. It had no name. It had no queen. It was the queen now, a creature born of war. Not a parasite, not a host, but something wholly new. Born of a facehugger's ambition and a xenomorph's fury. Its mind was a swirling storm of memory and instinct, but it knew one thing. Survival meant supremacy. Above, the Hermes began its descent. The hybrid waited, and below the surface, other eggs began to twitch. But these were different, smooth, darker, with veins pulsing in unnatural rhythms. The hybrid walked among them, pressing claws to shells, speaking without words, commanding. The new era had begun. Facehugger versus xenomorph was over. Now came the reign of the One. The moon was silent. LV for 98, a long-forgotten terraforming site, had been abandoned decades ago. Nature had started to reclaim it, but not in any ordinary way. The flora was mutated, overgrown, and infused with the residue of alien biology. Deep underground, in the collapsed tunnels of Research Station Hades, something stirred. An egg, large, leathery, pulsing with life, quivered once, twice, then burst open with a wet crackle. From within, a facehugger sprang forth, 8 long digits flexing with anticipation. Its tail slithered behind it like a snake as it scuttled into the darkness, searching. But what it found wasn't human. Not far from the nest lay the husk of a xenomorph drone. Its black carapace glistened in the dim light, ribs broken, head dented. It had died in combat. Something had ejected from its chest long ago, but something else remained. Beneath the bones and chitin, a sliver of brain activity flickered. It was enough. The facehugger approached the corpse, stopping short. There was no heat signature, no breath. Yet instinct made it pause. It tilted its body forward, sensing something alien, familiar. Then, from the shadows, another figure emerged. A xenomorph, alive, large. Its exoskeleton bore ancient scars, symbols of survival, of battles long past. This was not an ordinary drone. This was a Praetorian elite, deadly, smarter than the rest. It moved like a shadow, barely disturbing the air. Its inner jaw hissed open, dripping saliva, reacting to the intrusion. The facehugger, rather than fleeing, sprang toward it with a terrifying screech. The Praetorian jerked its head back, dodging the initial leap. It wasn't afraid. It was enraged. This was not a mating. This was a war. The Praetorian had emerged from stasis only hours earlier, woken by seismic shifts in the tunnel. It remembered the wars, the infestation, the arrival of humans and their betrayal. The hive had fallen. Only a few scattered drones had survived until even they were gone. Now only it remained. And now, this parasite, this lesser form, dared to attack it. The facehugger lunged again, this time circling around the Praetorian, tail whipping to coil around its leg. But the xenomorph's reflexes were faster. It slashed with its clawed hand, tearing into the facehugger's side. Acid splattered, hissing as it struck the ground, melting rock. The facehugger shrieked, but didn't retreat. It twisted in midair, gripping the Praetorian's leg tightly and crawling upward toward its face. The Praetorian grabbed it with both hands and slammed it into a steel pillar. Once, twice. The second slam cracked the column, but the facehugger still clung on, relentless. It wasn't just instinct. This facehugger was unique, an aberration, born from a tainted egg, cross-mutated with experimental DNA left behind by human scientists. It was stronger, faster, and smarter than its brethren. It remembered. The facehugger had once latched onto a synthetic and failed. It had tasted the sterile mockery of life and had burned with hatred ever since. The xenomorph, though once its distant cousin, now represented a threat to its supremacy. For the first time in recorded evolution, the facehugger didn't seek to implant. It sought to dominate. The battle raged through the tunnels. The Praetorian launched itself upward, smashing through a rusted ceiling grate. The facehugger clung on, wrapping its tail around the xenomorph's neck like a strangler vine. The two tumbled into a vertical shaft, falling dozens of meters, landing in a pool of brackish water. Steam hissed around them. The facehugger released, slipping away underwater. The Praetorian thrashed and screeched, sonar pulses echoing around the chamber. It had lost sight but not scent. It followed. The facehugger emerged first, scuttling up the wall, only to be struck by a whiptail. The Praetorian had climbed the other side, lying in wait.